We're going to be talking about the order of operations today. It's nothing new and unusual that you haven't seen before, but again, it's very, very important in math, so we're going to refresh your brain again. Absolute value is included in order of operations because that typically is an operation somewhere along the way. So real quick, what is absolute value? Absolute value is the distance from 0 on a number line. So distance from 0 on the number line. What I want you to think about is that distance can never be negative, ever. If you're driving in a car and you go left 3 miles, you're going to put 3 miles on your odometer. If you're going down the road and you take a right and you go 3 miles, you're going to put 3 positive miles on your odometer. So distance can never, ever, ever be negative. You can go deep sea diving and you've gone, even though you've gone down, the distance would still be 30, 40 feet, whatever. Distance is still positive. You could be in the air, flying on an airplane, 2,100 feet above the ground. Distance is always positive. So if you look at here on these examples, inside the parentheses, so absolute value is noted by these kind of brackets. Inside those brackets can never, ever, ever be negative. So absolute value of negative 13 is 13. Here we're going to evaluate, then combine. So absolute value of 9 is 9. Absolute value of negative 8 is 8. Then I add, which is 17. Look at number 7. Absolute value of negative 11 is 11. Absolute value of negative 5 is 5. Then you subtract and you get 6. Absolute value of 24 is 24. Absolute value of negative 15 is 15. Then you subtract and we get 9 as your answer. Let's look at number 8. Absolute value of 4 is 4. Absolute value of negative 4 is 4. And when you subtract them, you get 0. So don't be lazy in your thinking. You may look at that and think, oh yeah, I got it. It's 8. A lot of people say 8. No, it's not. You've got to evaluate first, then solve. Let's look at number 11. Absolute value of 28 is 28. Absolute value of negative 26 is 26. And when you subtract them, you get 2. Let's look at number 12. Absolute value of negative 3 is 3. Absolute value of 19 is 19. And when you subtract, you get negative 16. A lot of times students will say, but absolute value can't be negative. It's not. You've already evaluated first, then. So you already simplified the absolute value, then you combine. You've already gotten rid of the negativity, and then your last process is where you combine them. Let's take a look at number 9. 15 minus 23 is negative 8, but because it's still inside the absolute value, my answer is 8 because it can never be negative. So those are just a few examples of absolute value. And now we're going to go on to order of operations, which of course you've seen before. And all order of operations is, it's simplifying an expression Now, because I said the word expression, that tells me it's not an equation. There's no equal sign. It's an expression, and we simplify it. So you simplify an expression using a specific order. And what is that order? PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So P stands for parentheses or brackets. Parentheses or brackets. E stands for exponents. M and D stand for multiplication and division. And then we have add and subtract. And when it comes down to just multiplication and division on one line, you do it in that order. Same thing with addition and subtraction, you do it in that order. So let's take a look at some problems together. And we'll start easy. This one, it's just, you don't do it in your head. So students typically struggle with order of operations But if you break it down piece by piece and go in that order, then it becomes easy. So let's start with number 13. So here we have 7 plus 54 divided by 3 times 2. There's no parentheses. There's no exponents. This is multiplication, 3 times 2, which is 6. So now I have 7 plus 54 divided by 6. Here is division. So 54 divided by 6 is 9. So I have 7 plus 9, and I get 16 is my answer, which is wrong because I did not follow order of operations. See? I even said above, go in order, and that's division. I didn't go in order, so I got it wrong. Let's do that again. That was a perfect example of what not to do. So if you look here, division first, 54 divided by 3 is 18. 7 plus 18 times 2. Now we have 18 times 2, which is 36. And 7 plus 36 is 43. And that is my final answer. Tricked me up on number 13. All right, let's take a look at number 16 down here. We're going to skip. And now I have parentheses. So I'm going to start with the numerator. When you have a fraction, you treat them as two individual problems. You do the numerator, and then you do the denominator, and then at the end you simplify. So here I have 2 squared, which is 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. So this becomes 3 plus 17, and I can go ahead and complete that, which is 20. And then here I have multiplication first, so 2 times 5 is 10, and negative 14 plus 10 is negative 4. And when I get over here, I can keep going, because 20 divided by negative 4 is negative 5. So negative 5 would be my answer there. Let's do a couple more problems on the back. And I'm just going to do numbers 21 through 24, because typically the ones at the end are the more challenging ones. And of course, if you need help, more help with order of operations, I have office hours, so you utilize that. Let's look at 21. So here I have a couple of brackets, but I'm going to start inside here. So I start inside, work my way out. 5 minus 9 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. I still have this 3 times 16 plus 2, and 3 times 16 is 48, and 48 plus 2 is 50. So look at that process that I did there, and can you see how I'm getting that? Negative 4 squared, 3 times 16 plus 2, multiply first for 48, and then I get 50. But I'm not done with the problem, because now it says 20 squared divided by 50. 20 squared is 400. 400 divided by 50, you can knock off your zeros, and 40 divided by 5 is 8. So 8 would be my final answer for number 21. Okay, let's take a look at number 22. I start inside and work out. So 4 squared is 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. So inside these brackets, I still have 30 minus 25. Do you see how I did that first? And then 30 minus 25 is 5. So really I'm left with 12 times 5, which is 60. And now I can do the denominator. Absolute value of 10 is 10. Absolute value of negative 6 is 6. And then I subtract. 10 minus 6 is 4. So 60 divided by 4 is 15. So 15 would be my final answer for that one. Number 23, let's take a look. Here I have, that's division, 72 divided by 6 times 2. So let's start inside here. 7 squared is 49. 5 minus 49 is negative 44. So I have, this is division, so I can go ahead and do 84 divided by 12 is 7. So 7 minus 44, because that's what's left in the parentheses, minus 72 divided by 6 times 2. I'm not going to make the same mistake. I have division first, so I'm going to divide. Negative 72 divided by 6 is negative 12. And so I can rewrite that to 7 minus 44 minus 12 times 2. 12 times 2 is 24, and there's a negative because a negative sign is a positive. And I get 7 minus 44 minus 24. Now, I can combine commuted to property any way I want, as long as you're combining a negative 44 and a negative 24. So negative 44 and negative 24 is negative 68. And then you have the 7 out here to make my answer negative 61. So that may be kind of hard to see, but as you work through it on your own paper, you should be getting negative 61. All right, last one is 24. So again, we work inside those parentheses. 8 minus 11 is negative 3. And negative 3, okay, so look at this. Negative 3 cubed. That's a negative 3 times a negative 3 times a negative 3, which is 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. So does everybody see how negative 3 cubed, I'm getting negative 27? Okay, so watch. There's still a negative outside here. Let me erase that. There's still a negative outside those parentheses. And here, when I solve this inside the parentheses, I'm getting negative 27. So I have a negative 27 minus 3 times the absolute value of negative 14. This is still multiplication over here. So I'm going to evaluate. What is the absolute value of negative 14? It's 14. And this is multiplication. A negative times a negative is a positive. So I get a positive 27 minus 3 times 14. So negative 3 times 14 is negative 42. And then I have a 27, because the 27 I'm bringing down. So 27 minus 42 is negative 15. And my denominator, if I do 2 to the 4th power, is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 4 times 4, and then 4 times 4 is 16. So I get 16 minus 7, which is 9. And so I can reduce negative 15 over 9 to be negative 5 thirds. And negative 5 thirds would be my answer. So my suggestion on order of operations is slow down. I made a mistake at the beginning. You're going to make some mistakes too, and that's fine, as long as you go back and check look at your work. The hard thing about order of operations is you can't check your answer. You just have to trust in the process. So if you have questions, let me know.